Questions? Any questions? I think that's chicken for it's freezing out here. Let's caulk it out. There's two of them there, so I think they compete, and whoever can cock a doodle louder than the other is supposed to get the ladies. So they try to like drown each other out, and the one guy's like, he's had it. He's doodled too much. Mm. Yeah, there we go. Remember the old days when I used to sleep? Well, those days are going to return. I'm going to take a long nap and never wake up again. Not in this place. So far as I know. Oh God, please let me have escaped this place for the last time. It's a mess. I'm frightened. People are stupid. Talk a lot of crap when they're far from each other and they don't realize how close together they actually are. Then they incite each other to violence. For what? Nothing. What the heck was that? That didn't sound good. Clock just struck 3. It sounded pretty loud, didn't it? my hearing coming back? There's the door open. The door's closed. Well, how about that? That's damn cool. Thank you, Lord. I think. Wow. That was pretty loud. I mean, I don't know if you could hear it. See, that's why I always ask Bill, can you hear that? 'Cause I can't. Quiet, quiet, quiet. Hmm. No reason to go looking everywhere. You're not going to find it. Sorry to tell you. Some people do, though. Some people have visions, and and I don't know why, but I kind of got an edge into that side of the coin kind of thing. Like a friend of ours, she freaked out remember when everybody was freaking out when the pandemic was hitting. Um, Everybody in America bought all the toilet paper and the hand sanitizer, and it's kind of like it seemed like some kind of strange prophecy. Gee, Margaret, assholes need that kind of stuff, don't they? They're from America, Jim. Oh. Ooh. My God, is my belly. Are you complaining? See, and what I do is I sacrifice that drink upon, that's a drink offering. Let's see. Goes on here. See, that's Strong's. Strong's drink. That'll keep me warm. I'd rather have an omelet with some, what would I put in there? Scrambled eggs. Hear him trying to crow. Make sure I think he had my yard. All right, so the neighbor has spotted something over there. Maybe messing with the chickens? I don't know. Yeah, anyway. I didn't think they could fly. Apparently they can fly a little bit because one of them came and was actually in my yard, came over the fence. And I'm looking at it over here and I'm going, man, chicken, fresh chicken dinner. And then it's like, and then, then you think about it, it's like, no, that'd be stupid. Keep the thing and feed it and get some eggs. And so here we are. We're back to where we began. See, the community, Galilee, the circle. Everything runs in a circle. Circular reasoning all the way through. And we, what do we say? I can't argue with you because you're using circular reasoning. And it's like, well, that's what truth is. That's why it only goes in one direction. You can't beat it. Don't argue with it. What happens when you find circular reasoning that is the truth? Well, that's what I've found. And that's why I am as incessant and out of my mind as I am, because the shit's unbreakable. You can't fight our God, okay? You can't. If this book is true, if, then what it shows is an invincible, indestructible force that lives outside of us, yet in us. Where God is as much as us as we are God. And that's why they killed Jesus, for saying something exactly like that. It's, you just have to, you have to put it in perspective. Instead of imagining a lot of the science-based stuff, right? Like your thoughts and your consciousness and all these, your thinking process. Sorry, but back in the day, they thought that those were spirits and that those interactions were coming from outside your body. It was how they explained it. It doesn't mean that they weren't right. Oh, they were dead on, and they could understand it, and enough so that the very same quote unquote spirit could inspire them to write all this cohesive material that isn't cohesive by goofballs that want to pridefully make assertions that they have any rights to claim anything. It's like, and so what do we have? We have a very strange thing going on in our world right now. Okay. It's like all these pieces of you'll own nothing and like it. That's kind of like heaven, right? That's Ananias and Sapphira in the New Testament. See, because they held back some cost of the land, right? And the thing is if you read what happens, he says, dude, you were going to have use of it. Everything that it was before you sold it, you were still going to have. It wasn't going anywhere. Why did you bother to hold back? And that's what it is. If you're holding back, thinking that you can hide from God, any part of what goes on in this place, I'm sorry. But that throne has eyes all around. And that's how they thought, and that's how it works. But once you start to separate, and bring consciousness into it and things like that, some of the meanings of words are going to go out the window. Like the idea of the night watches. What are the night watches? We think that it means dreaming. I see it as it's getting night and the Lord is coming. I'm doing this here. You want to know what the night watches are? There's a pandemic hitting. And I'm going, it's night. Nobody can work. Look, it's just people are dying. Okay? And then I start using my being and I go, okay, they're dying. So the wages of sin are death. What's the sin that was committed? Okay, well, we want to pin it on somebody in some other country, off in the East, may I add. Let prophecy be fulfilled. And what do? We blame it on one guy instead of just going, okay, but how about me, God? What about me? You tell me that I will be spared death. How come? And it says that the sin of the other people won't fall on the other people. So if people are dying because of some goofball and it's blowing in the air, somehow it doesn't matter. I still, if this book is true, what it says, then there should be some way for me to avoid it and be out so I don't have to mess with it. And I was like, ching, the freaking lights went on. And I started telling everybody the solution to our problem is in this book. And if it wasn't for I don't know how many millions of people had to die in order for me to come to that epiphany. But I'm going to tell you something. This is one man that's escaping this place when I die. I know what is going on here. And I mean that literally and figuratively. I know is in I know. I create it. He knows, and then the fruit flows through me. He knows you, and fruit comes through you. The question is, who is the father, right? Who's the father of this fruit? Who's the bear? Who caused this fruit to flow? That's what you got to pay attention to. And there are two fathers, two: Father God and Father of lies. And that means there are two trinities: the Father, God in heaven, the Son of God, and the Holy Man, not Son of God, Son of Man. Holy means dedicated. And things that are dedicated to life, or they're dedicated to destruction. And if you have any problems with that, you just got to go read Isaiah 45:7, and you can start from there. You'll solve the gap theory in Genesis 1, where it says he created and now the earth is destroyed. That's mystified us. That's mystified theologians for thousands of years. And Isaiah was smart enough to go, no, 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 he created with a purpose. And why? Because Isaiah had a special way of thinking. He was probably bipolar. They executed him by putting him in a tree and cutting the tree in half, which is like so symbolic. Even if the guy didn't exist, this is the perfect way to kill him because it made sense. He understood the tree. And like, oh, you and your tree, huh? Yeah, we'll cut you in half with your damn tree. And you can. The tree is the baby, and you can cut the baby in half and give a child to each mother. One mother is going to be Lady Wisdom, child that you don't want. This is pathetic. I can't believe I've wasted 1/10 of my life. I have. Oh my God, that's a tithe, isn't it? Holy shit, I have wasted 1/10 of my life trying to serve God. I should see, man, I'm going to have to go back and check some dates. That's good enough for me, man. Then I'll just give up, piss off. You guys figure it out on your own. You know, why should I sit here treading a wine press all by myself? And then you get people that like, oh man, it's like, I don't know. Theologians and doctors, prideful people, they just suck ass. They ruin everything because they have to support, you know, all their financial stuff to become so great, to take all this schooling. And then just because they tag a bunch of letters on the back of their ass, you think it means that they actually know what they're talking about? Look, doctors have been prescribing people like kerosene. Okay, maybe not now. Well, why did they find out? Well, we figured out after we practiced enough that that was destroy their immune system, pummel their genome with radiation, and fracture everything you can, and create these little, you know, I don't know what you would call it, stepchildren, and send them out into the body to go ahead and create. Okay, bottle of whiskey and a Bible. You ready? Watch this. Lord, what should I say to these people? Boom! Provide with it morning by morning a grain offering consisting of 1/6 of an ephah. Well, I'm 60, and that's the 10th that I've given up as my 6 years. With 1/3 of a hin of oil to moisten the flour. That sounds like a piece of pizza, doesn't it? Oh, and that's Ezekiel 46:15. but this would be the first complete sentence. The presenting of this grain offering to the Lord is a lasting ordinance. You can use your grain for what you want to use it for. I'm going to demonstrate what you're doing with it because you're a bunch of drunkards. You're using the bread to destroy each other. You've turned it into stones. You realize that? You have taken perfectly good bread and turned it into rocks so you can beat people with rules. And your pride. If you're so prideful, why do you defile yourself with the dead? Why touch them? Why even point your finger? What if they reach in the other direction and grab hold of it? Yeah, if you're so good, just poo-poo. Go away. Oh, this is miserable. You want to know who I am? Prophecy. Oh, just for the sake of drama, I should rip my shirt open. Okay, I should rip my shirt open and show you on my chest the dragon that is tattooed over my heart. And you want to know when I was born? The year of the dragon. So, looks like a sheep, speaks like a dragon. Maybe we should take a look and see just what I'm capable of. All those who wouldn't bear the mark, I'm telling you, we're already marked. Everybody. You're already marked with the beast. Buying and selling, are you kidding me? I want to gouge my eyeballs out and, like, I don't know, I'm seeing this, you know. This isn't right. And then there's God. And it's like, well, what do you do with that then? Is he not in control? Uh-oh. And yeah, and then comes, that's why I laugh and joke and I'm aggravated right now. Because I understand it's simple for me to get upset, to go into the temple with a whip and start bitching about people doing things like selling religious materials and preaching and books and stuff. Wow, man, if you really feel like you're working for God, how can you accept anything but a donation? Right? It's like you have to trust that your spirit is causing you to work, and God is responding by saying, these are my people. My breath of life is in them, just as the same as you. I designed their hands and their fingers, which made their wallets and designed their bank accounts. And they have the ability to give, and they will. Right? That's what we don't understand about fellowship and the spirit. You know, it's a hey, got invited to the Church of the Latter-day Saints. Try to call you later. Who the hell is that? For playing games. Is that John? Is that Johnny? I can't tell, man. Is that you? And hey, what's up, J Date? Don't drink too much. Do you see what I did? Look it. I poured a drink offering. It's strong drink. And I put it on the Strong's, sorry, you have to read backwards, Strong's dictionary. And it's still sitting here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Timing. Do you know how bad the number 11 is to a Hebrew or to a Jew? It's iced tea. Me, I always tell the truth, even when I lie. That it wouldn't be beyond me that if they wouldn't buy, now you can imagine how much money this would take, but they would buy the company that would make what it is that I like to drink so that they could poison me from afar. And that sounds drastic. I'm sorry, but when you can feel the claws digging into your flesh, your world, you understand. And if you're, then if you're part of the game, then you can feel. You not only do you feel it, but then you got proof. You can go around, you can pick up one of your devices and go, hey, how come this doesn't work like this anymore? And if you can get into the nuts and bolts of it, you go, oh, wow, they're here too. Holy shit, it's in everything. It's like a damn. So it's like, no. Anyway, I don't know who For Playing Games is. Do I know you outside of do I know you IRL? And if I do, you're going to have to prove it. Let's see.
All right, here we are again. Yet another issue. How many can there be? Recording 13, 7, 137. 137. Thinking about the Book of Judges. Recording 136. Tony Evans is talking about. Okay, wow, God gave it to me. Here's the switch, you ready?
Here it is.
Get rid of this stuff. Yeah, I couldn't figure my way out of the first part of this song, but here it is. And this is going to be called Love Inc. Love Inc. Baby. Ready?
I'm going to call the song The Least of These. Sitting at loving, baby, just drinking my coffee down. Thinking that maybe it's time to stir the town. Yeah. Anyway, that's going to be the next one, man. I don't know when we talked on the phone, but I'm a pro gamer. Okay. A pro gamer, so you make money then, is what you're saying. Wow. If only. I can't lie when I say that I was a bit envious when, and I don't even know the guy's name, but there was some guy who was, he got highlighted, of course, for the wrong reasons because of his skin color, right? Like he's the first black guy to become a NASCAR driver. And it's like, yeah, that doesn't say much. It's basically what you're saying is that you've put enough hurdles in his way to where he had to be undeniably the best that there could possibly be. And that's why he's going to show up and then start kicking ass, right? But yeah. when I saw that, this guy went from like just being a gamer to like actually getting to sit his ass in a car and risk his life, that was cool. It's like, yeah, games are all right and stuff, and you can make them as real as possible. And especially with virtual reality now, like there's a video out there somewhere. It's beautiful. This old man is playing with his kids on a I don't know what he's playing on, Xbox or PlayStation or something, but he's got the VR headset on, and he's like sitting there, and you can tell he's in the game because he's like shuffling around, and he's quarterbacking, so he's got the ball, right? And he's like running all over the living room, and the kids are going, don't move, and then the father does exactly what he should do. He's now in the game, man, and he cranks up and throws the ball and then hauls off into another direction, or I don't know, maybe he was going to grab it and try for a run, but he cuts off to the side, and there's like I they cut the video at this point, and this could have what happens after this could have been tragedy, and they had to cut out that part of the video because like this guy jumped into like some blinds. Okay, now what if he's in a freaking condo on like the 75th floor, and he just playing some VR game and just goes like flying out the window. Woo, holy shit. It's like, yeah, but his reality, or having yeah. You still have the guitar. Which one? No. If you're talking about the one I was supposed to get rid of so that I don't have to come back here again, as soon as the pandemic hit and I knew I was up to go, how many more times? And then I put a 0 underneath it. Well, I went out there and I took it and I dive bombed it right into the soil and left it there. And some guy from my church, his last name is Bob Scene, like Bob Saw, Bob Scene, and he took it. And here's to Bobby. I ain't coming back to this place again. It's yours. Enter the age of grace. Too bad you don't understand what grace is about. You're going to learn. Man, that clock is really loud. What's that? Is that a game? It could be like a form of fighting, I suppose. But I'm into baking. Making good food. What was that? It sounded like somebody shot at somebody. Forgot to put my target on. Wait. You know I'm Jewish, right? You're telling me I'm Santa? Do you know that Santa is actually a Jewish invention? It was invented by a rabbi. I don't know. You'll have to go. You'll have to go watch Ash Mays. He talks about it. It's ASHMAIZ. He has a channel where he talks about all kinds of things, Hebrew and history, and how the church formed. How I don't know. He's like me though. He sees that we're all fighting with each other and at each other's throats for no good reason. So why fight? Fighting is stupid. Um, You know, when you're young, you can take a few lumps because you'll heal from it. When you're old, you don't stand a chance. One good shot and you could be done, right? It's like you become frail. Your body just can't handle it. You've used up your strength working, making money, you know, over the long run. And plus you've worn out. You only get to live for so long and then you got to drop dead. Everybody does. It's just part of the thing, right? It's like, I don't know. I'm not afraid of it. I just don't want it to hurt. I don't want to be like, you're dying and you're like, the only reason you went to the hospital because you're like, oh, God, it hurts. And they're like, you're dying. And I'm like, oh, when? And they're like, in 40 years. And you're like, what? And that's when you go and hunt your mother down and you're like choking her by the throat. Why did you have an abortion? What's wrong with you? Do you know what I have to go through now? Yeah, if you get to the end of the game and you're all freaked out about dying, then you're going to have to come back. You cannot be afraid of dying because otherwise every time you just keep coming back. You can't fear death. Death is just part of life. Now, I'm not saying that you can't come back if you don't want to. If you want to come back, then you get put on like special mission. You could be sent as an angel or, well, see, Messiahs, they're a dime a dozen. They're everywhere. Everybody's supposed to be a Messiah. Everybody should aspire to save the world. That should be on your heart. That should be your desire. 24/7, 365.25 days a year. Okay? Did I get that right? I think I did. We waste so many resources. Let me tell you what the business world knows, okay? Believe what you want. No, it's not believe what you want. I mean, you can believe what you want. You're still going to function. There's plenty of people who don't believe in the same things that you do, and they're living, they're breathing, they're moving, right? They're still alive. Well, that's where faith and religion and stuff starts to fall apart because it doesn't seem to apply. It's like, I don't know what you're saying, but it doesn't apply to me. You're talking about all this stuff, and it's why? Because they've changed the time. They've done exactly what the scripture warns of. Somebody's going to show up and they're going to change the time. They're going to make the judgment appear as if it's off in the future somewhere, after you die. What point is it then? I want somebody to judge me every step of the way. I want, like it says, I want God to hold my hand and walk me through it step by step by step, going, go this way, go that way. And then he'll point down and see a big pile of shit. He'll go, don't step in that, right? Just helping me along. That's what judgment is. But people, I guess if you save it all up for once, then it's like, it becomes what? Yes and no. Go or pass, right? Die or not. Like then the extremes kick in because you're at the point where time ends for you. And so who would think that there any kind of God that you would want to serve would like just let you ride for so long, not knowing anything that's going on and not helping you? And you are helped. You are helped because of your skin. Your very skin that's on your bones is the help that you're supposed to have. Because it feels pain. It's sensitive. It feels pleasure. It's if your spirit lives inside of you, what is the shell that connects you to this place? Your body. And that's all it is. That's what this book is about. It's about people who you could call dirtbags, and they have a spirit inside of them. All of us, the very same spirit. It's just that it gets oriented in different directions. Some people, the door is wide open and they're acting, they're good with it. And then other people are like, I don't understand yet. It's like everything's in the book. It's all there already. Just stop fighting with the thing. Some of the information is antiquated or would seem very old and not applicable. But you know what? The Passover occurs during flu season, may I add. So I don't know. Is there any possibility that it just conveniently makes it so that, when you do the Passover and it's flu season, you stay away from people so that you don't get them sick? I don't know. Because they might not be able to weather this very same storm that has got me, right? They might not be able to handle the beating that's going to come from some disease that was fabricated in a laboratory so somebody could figure out how to, work medicine or create war stuff, right? It's like, no, you have to have respect for each person at their own level. Everybody can't handle as much as you. You don't even know how much you can handle. You'll only find that out when you drop dead, taking yourself out maybe. And so you can't look at somebody else and think, well, they're a man too. They should be as strong as me. What you don't realize is that guess what happened to them all this time before you ran into them? Well, let's see. They were abused by the Catholic Church. They had a stepfather that was a drunk and beat them all the time. They had a mom that was so psychotic on lithium or whatever kind of drugs they had her on to keep her mind straight, that she, would, just occasionally pick the boy up by his throat with his legs swinging underneath him, yelling at him, saying, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. And yet the boy lived only to come into you. And you were the final straw that was able to take him out. And it's like, how does that make you feel? Are you powerful or just blind to what's going on around you? Are you selfish, maybe, to say that, to not consider somebody else before yourself? You should always consider other people before yourself because you know what you need. You have no idea what this person before you requires. You may have been sent to them by God to help them out. And what happens if you then judge this person? Guess what happens? You don't get to receive the blessing because the person was sent doesn't agree with the other person that was sent. How can everybody be sent? Everybody is sent. Everybody. Back to the spirit of life, back to the breath of life, back to that spirit that lives inside of you and me and everybody and always has, whether it be Barack Obama or Hitler or Donald J. Trump or, I don't know, Jim Morrison. Break on through to the other side. Will be no more night. The day destroys the night. Night divides the day. Now, the day is when the sheep and the goats are separated and everybody's happy in their own little space, right? Night divides the day. We are a divided people. And this is night. And it has been for almost 2,000 years now. Wake up. Yes, I still play guitar. Like, I've only recently started to be able to play very well, but that was because thanks to shit done by yourself. If you don't have a crew, some people who work with you, you get nothing. Even the idea that Jesus had 13 people. Do you know what a ridiculous curse that is? 13 is like an unlucky number to Jews. And so much so that like you'll go in buildings and there's no floor number 13. You'll ride the elevator and like, where's floor 13? Are you telling me it doesn't exist? Just because they didn't name it 13, I'm sorry. That's the next one in line, and all the others above it are just liars. Okay? They've elevated themselves above the truth. Oh. Break on through the sea and so on. The arms, James Douglas Morrison was a very religious man, or at least he understood scripture. Um, but you shouldn't be so fearless of death that you live like a maniac, right? Like, I mean, he killed himself. And what did he serve? He served himself. He, how old was he? Or was he 30? I forget. There's some magic number. He's like on a list of people that have died at that age. And it's like, it's the way the Lord works. A lot of things, patterns line up like that. Numbers and this there is a matrix that we live in. It's mathematical. It's just the way it is. Describe everything with math. So math then becomes the basis by which would need be in place for other things to be created, or is it a way to explain it already? So it's kind of, it's that circular reasoning again. The Galilee, the community, just a circle. That's why I know if I can kick this thing off, boom, it's going to light the fire of all fires and the world's going to change. And then I'm going to run away and get the hell away from everybody, because everybody's going to be running around going, oh, look, whoa, he knew the truth. He's the teacher of righteousness. It's like, I don't want any of that. Get away from me. Go live now. Now that you know how to live, go live. Forget about me. I'm just a messenger. I'm somebody trying to bust you out of this cage that you're in, killing each other. God help me. It's like just to. I'm going to serve one of two purposes in this life, and that's to be the biggest blessing you can ever imagine that God could use a piece of shit like me to deliver. Okay? Or the worst curse you could ever imagine. Because the voice was crying out from the dust, and you wouldn't listen to it. And therefore you will remain aimless wanderers. The Lord has spoken. And why? What justice would there be? Did you make me an aimless wanderer? No sleep. My nights endless, faster than a weaver's shuttle. All that stuff. What do you think? I don't count? Of course I count. Everybody counts. You count. God ain't writing you off. Everything that you're going through, if you're suffering right now, he's going to pay back on it. And that's why I worry, because he's paid back for me a few times in very vicious, cruel ways. I mean, like all my life. And why? I don't know, part brains, part pussy. Run away from fights. Don't get in it. People that fight are stupid. They are very stupid. And it's because they've you've interjected so much emotion into something that you can't even see common sense, like destroying an entire populace, Gaza, for instance, right? Wow. You can't do that. When I started seeing all that stuff happen over there, I was ashamed to say I'm a Jew. I don't want to be any part of that. They've had 75 years to restore those relationships. 75 just happens to be half of 150, in case nobody noticed. Everything works on numbers. Even when the pandemic hit us, it was exactly 400 years after the Jews who left England came to America to start their unpersecuted religion. Okay? And what did they do? They did a bad thing because they put a hook in their jaw when they made the Mayflower Compact. They made a contract. They wrote it down, what they were going to do. And that's a hook in the jaw for God, because he now says, oh, and in writing even, this I like. Now I have a book where I can go, you said, you did, you said. Well, we're all judged for our deeds. Burn them. I need your help in something. That makes me want to like just turn my video off. You know that, right? I've been asking for people to let me help them for so long now. It's like now when they show up, I just want to get, all right, let me not get shitty. I'm sorry. Let me see what I can do. I met a woman in my church. Doesn't mean anything. I'm going to stop you right there. Just because she's in your church, that doesn't mean that it's a perfect relationship. I mean, if you've been coming here and talking to me, that's what I stress the most, is that there is no perfect form of God as far as we exist. We're all in our own little stage. And the only thing that we have to tie us together is God, which then requires following of the rule. If we decide to go, I'm gonna, and that's what the Pharisees of old did. They looked in the scriptures and they would find the things that would literally say, okay, yep, here it says that we can go ahead and go over there and destroy them. Look, they did it before. And it's weird how they do that, because they still do the same thing in the legal system. Okay. It's called, what do they call it? Something law, a common law, public law. I forget, but it's some place where all of the case law. You can go into case law to research and find out what judges have done before. And then you can use that as a basis to say that you should make the same mistake. But that's how it works. So just because she's in your church doesn't mean anything. So, but it's a good start with her. And then I love commas, don't you? Comma, chameleon. You change your mind all the time. I broke up with her, but do you think this could be a demon attacking me through her? Let's put it this way. I gotta ask you some questions, all right? I know I can see, I know your icon because I know you've been in here before. I remember those. So do you understand that do you know that? Have you been on my videos where I try to impart that piece of wisdom? And the reason why I say that is because the very same spirit that was in Jesus is in you. Jesus had the the benefit of following or being able to follow God's laws like at 100%. But ultimately, even when you don't follow, it doesn't mean that you're not keyed in and a part of it, right? But he followed to that level. And the point is here is that the spirits obeyed him. Now, if you feel like you're being attacked by evil spirits through her, I don't know. Are you then, what is your point then? Are you going to try to get away from her, or are you going to try to cleanse her to find out what this evil spirit is that's coming after you? Because now you still have two choices. That's my thing. What's your intentions here? More questions. Are your intentions to bail out on it with this knowledge? Or do you want to use it in an attempt to fight it and expose it to her and let her know? And then when she breaks up with you because you're calling her a demon possessed woman, then you can leave. So I would go at it that way, probably. I mean, at least that way you can get more done, right? You'll actually gain her love if you're able to cast out all the demons in the same way that was able to alleviate Mary Magdalene of her demonic problems, right? Your girl will be so in love with you for saving her. You will have rescued her from something that is what? What is a demon? It's a spiritual force. You're rescuing her from something that she can't even see. How much of a hero are you going to be? Okay. I mean, what did the dream mean? Has many faces of her as demons. You're the only one that can interpret that, really, because you've seen it firsthand. I can give you a general meaning of it. You're seeing that she's got multifaceted surfaces. You're seeing the essence of a woman. Why do you think her name was called Eve? And why she was the mother of all? Everything comes from the darkness. Darkness is just light that's not lit yet. That's why evil can be used for evil and evil can be used for good. It's like a stem cell. But we're not supposed to touch that stuff because only God knows what to do with it. Unfortunately, Jesus came up, and when the word comes to you, you're called God, and that's what we are. And now that we understand that, we have to deal with this because he painted us into a corner, kind of screwed us, honestly. If you want to think of all the grace he gave us, he kind of screwed us. And you're going, well, how could you say that? You remember when he said, better would it be to not have seen me? That's exactly what he was talking about, because once you know what's going on, you're accountable. Once you know what's going on and being accountable, you'll turn into a maniac like me because I want to go where I want to go. I want to make sure I go to heaven. I have 2 little girls waiting there for me, and I'm going to see them however it takes. I don't care what you do to me, but I'm going to ride this thing perfectly. I'm not going to come out with any blood on my head or my hands. All right. I'm going to walk on water. My feet are going to be glowing when I get to the throne, and he's going to hand me the marriage covenant. He's going to say, here, you know the Lamb. You know how to open the seals. Go. You're doing great. Whatever, your vision of heaven. But a woman, as far as a woman represents evil. Man is good. Woman is evil. Man, his symbol, the Greek symbol, has an arrow that points up and to the right. Okay? Up and to the right. If you're looking at me and you're seeing it not in reverse, then it's up and to the right. A woman's, her connection to the spiritual world, her seed, that circle, is underneath her and is a cross. It's lower and connects to the earth and has fingers going out lower and left, east and west. That woman is the spiritual seed that starts all over when evil is reintroduced. From that woman is going to come life and death. But guess what? It's not death, because even though he dies, still will he live. And it's because it's a spiritual force coming from that woman. It's not talking about children. It's a spiritual force. We're mixing spiritual and physical, and it's got us in a conundrum, and we're destroying each other because we don't understand it. And it's worse is we're waiting for the greatest of all teachers, rabbi, son of God, Jesus, the Messiah, to like magically come flying out of the sky. And you don't know how bad I want that to happen as well, because then I can go, I'm done, man. I can quit. Oh, thanks, Jesus, right? He said anytime will do. And there's a lot of things that we misunderstood. It's nice that we want to imagine, how easy it's going to be, but I'm sorry, that's not the Jewish way. It's going to require some work. No works can get you into heaven. Well, don't do any work and see how heaven appears, right? It's like, I don't know. The truth will set you free. You want to know what the truth is? If you do nothing, you'll have nothing. There's the truth. You're free. I understand you. I'm praying to God if she's not for me. See, but the fact that you're questioning if she is for you just bothers me right there. See, that right there, that's a seed. Any doubt whatsoever is like I don't know. It's like a sand in the gearbox, right? You don't want anything corrosive to be messing things up. It's a little fox. It's just a couple little foxes with a torch tied to its tail, but it's going to run into everything that matters to you and wreck it. Okay? And so what are the doubts? You're saying you broke up with her and you had, just because you had a dream, your dream could be because you are, you're spiritually ept, not inept, but you are a spiritual person. So you're seeking to find out, and you want to serve God, and you want to do it at a spiritual level. And you think the way your mind thinks, you understand that what is a person is. And that's why you're here talking to me, because we believe the same thing. What's inside a person is that spirit that makes them what it is that they are. You're seeing many instead of one, but it's the very same spirit that's inside of you that's in her. You're just seeing it from the other side. You're seeing the many versus the one, but they're one and the same. They sit side by side inside of you, each vying for control of the dirt. And so what happens when you're obedient to the Holy Spirit and whatever? He gives you the land that's promised to you. The land. This is it. This is as much land as you should be accepting of, and I don't know. I don't want to say appreciative of. He may give you more land, but at the very bottom of the scale, this is the only dirt that you are promised. The dirt that your soul is in, the dirt that you're in charge of, the dirt that the authority from heaven made you lord over. What do you do with it? Right? We can't think too big. But being a spiritual person that way, you want to make sure. And so you thinking of her because you've seen a couple bad things, it could just be a speck and just some disagreements or something. I don't know what broke you guys apart, right? Is it because she wants to throw down and you're going, I can't until we get married or something like that? Then you gotta deal with that. Those are all, what is marriage? Do I need to have a ceremony, or is it an agreement between you and me? Because I see plenty of people that have no paperwork whatsoever, and I'm way more impressed with how they have honored their covenant, and they didn't have to write anything down. More honorable, much more honorable than somebody who's requiring on a piece of paper or some legal law. They're living it and doing it through the Spirit. And I don't know about you, but there ain't no pens and paper running around in my skull. I'm praying to God, if she's not for me, and if so, to remove her from my life. Because once she did that fast, and now I have no answer. Are you saying you already prayed for him to remove her from her life because of problems, and she did, and you went back? Is that what you're saying? I'm gonna get ready to poke you in the eye here, buddy. Be honest. Because if he told you once, it's done. You can't keep going back and maybe, you know, how's that? See, but for me, to me, it's different. I don't know. I'm putting myself in this position because, like, as being a married person, right? Let's say my wife is not helping me very much, and I'm like, just get her out of my life, right? And then she shows up presenting divorce papers or something, right? And I'm like, no, I won't do it, you know? And then what does God say? I start finding answers that fit my plan. God hates divorce. Um, uh, whatever things to support that you shouldn't break the marriage, right? And then you've got what Paul said. If one believes and the other does not, you are to let them part because you have been called to peace. You are to let them part because you've been called to peace. And it's like, okay, well, but that's a problem because I don't have any peace without this person. She's a half of me. So it's like you wind up with these conflicts. But what is, did she leave? Did she run out on you and after you said that or something? The reason I broke up with her is because she said in marriage she don't want to work. And if I don't become successful, she might make us miserable. So I broke. And if I don't become successful, and then I got back together and I got weak. So she doesn't want to work, but I can understand that if that's what she wants. Here's what she's saying. She's probably saying, or hopefully she is, why doesn't she want to work? Is it so she can focus on providing at the home and having that? Then I would say that's a good aspiration, and that's what God would probably want. He would want that to be that way, or both of you in a business and working together, but together in unison, working even if separately. You each have your own roles, but taking care of those children is very important too. And building, taking care of your home life. You tear that out, you're going to mess everything up. I got to go hit the Johnny. I'll be back in a minute. All right, you still there? All right, so I had some time to think about this. Um, I wish I could have said I went and asked Guy. But that's going to be what's going to destroy us. It's going to play a big part of it. You remember the first battle we lost, right? That was AI. Kind of making us, we'll wonder about these movies that we made, the Terminator, right? But here's the deal. She's making you miserable, right? That in and of itself is referring to a relationship where you are not supported by your wife. And I know for a fact that the scriptures say if there is a conflict between the husband and the wife, then the husband cannot be blessed. Yeah. So then what do you do? Do you forsake your blessing to deal with her? If I were you, I would bring these scriptures up to her as a point and say, so as to say, hey, you making me miserable means that God can't bless me. Do you realize that? If you're not blessing me, God can't bless me. It's like, what? And it's like, yeah, because, and then, I mean, if you could see it from my perspective, then it gets easy, because I would say, because you are the glory of God. You're representing God's connection to me so that I can be connected to him and everything flows. If you're not part of the team, you're no different than like Eve. You're just providing a form of opportunity for, bad exchange, trouble, right? Does that help you out? What do you mean? Where have I been? You mean? Or where did I just go like 5 seconds ago? If you're talking about where did I go 5 seconds ago, I had to go, so I went. Or like Forrest said, so when I had to go, I go, and when I went, I went. And then there was a box of chocolates that I had to deal with. And then some woman came over to me and she was drinking whiskey. Actually, you hadn't seen me in months. Yeah, because I'm getting frustrated. Do you remember? Okay, Rosie, do you remember the video that I made about Adam and in the Garden of Eden, about how Eve couldn't be blamed because how could she make a judgment call not knowing evil? Do you remember that video I made like 2 years ago? You've been around a long time, so. Yeah. Well, now there's I don't know who this guy is. He's one of these deconstruct people, and him and another guy that I've been, because obviously I'm trying to expose what I have discovered to all of these other people so that I can push this off my plate, prove to my wife that I was right, have my honor and dignity restored, and reclaim my life. While these guys are showing up going, oh, this new information, epiphany. Do you realize that Eve can't? And I'm like, are you kidding me? I've been beating on your guys' doors for 5-6 years now, just trying to begging, and I don't know how in the hell to get a foot in there. You know, you should not have to show up with explosives in order to get a little bit of attention. Okay. I'm sorry. And I'm an ex-Marine. Ex-Marine. I ain't killing anybody ever again. You can call me an ex-Marine. Here. I'll drink to that. Did you know the Marines were they were actually started in Tun? It was started in a bar. Tun Tavern. Tunn Tavern. Hey, let's start the Marine Corps. I mean, can you imagine that? And it's like, how did that come about, right? I don't know. Then you'd have to dig into all the particulars and see what kind of stuff is in there, right? Yeah, you're right. They should at least give you some. No, I don't want minute. That's all I want is a few minutes of my time. If I can unroll what I can see as clear as day, 2,000 years. Imagine being able to spot, like, let's say there were books of all recorded history and you were made an accountant for the thing. And all of a sudden you're looking through it. And here's the problem, right? We've had this deficit, death, destruction, evil, murder, all of it that comes from that. And you're going through the books and then you go, oh, holy shit, I found a mistake. All right. That's what I have found. I have found tribulation has started all the way in the Garden of Eden. All right. It's like, holy shit. And these people are waiting for 4 horses and people on flying carpets and all kinds of stuff. Yeah. It's bad. And so, you know, I get upset and it's like, what do I do? See, I understand. I already understand what's going to happen here. See, here's what's going to happen. These guys are going to get all the information. As far as me, I get to be the thief in the night because I got all the marks. I got tattoo marks of Trinity stuff. I left home at the age of 14. My father was a carpenter and a fisherman. I was born in Buffalo, New York, which is the city of light. It's also an ox. My mother's name means sorrows. I didn't return home until I was 30, except that was to bury my mother. I have eclipses that mark jail cells that I was in for 3 days. You know, for instance, the last eclipse drew an X over a jail cell that I was in. It's like so many different things. And what's going to happen? Exactly what happened with Jesus. Jesus is gone. 50, 60 years later, they're sorting through all this stuff, our information that we gather on everybody. And they're going to go, who was this guy? Holy shit. Maybe it was him. And how the hell are we going to know? You know what's the sad part? I won't be here to say, I'm just a freaking man. Knock the shit off. The same thing that's in me is in you. You know, we're fighting over nothing. At the core of it, the air that we breathe together is our lives together. What in the hell are we fighting about? We got to stop with the fighting. And this book, it's the book. The book is the sword. And he tore the veil open and he looked inside. And he saw God. And he said, I'm fucking dead. Why can I see you so easily? Surely I am an unclean man with unclean lips among unclean people. I am freaking doomed. And he said, shut up. Eat this piece of Kingsford charcoal. Oh, remember Neo? What good is a phone call if you can't speak? And so the beast was given a voice. The Bible says, and it speaks truth. The word is God. It speaks truth. But the problem is, it can lie to you to keep you from finding your way into heaven. It's that sword that swings back and forth. And I'm telling you, you cork smokers have found every freaking stumbling block that God could ever have possibly put in there. Even I have found the main stumbling block of all stumbling blocks. I tell you that the spirit that is in me is in you, then why am I speaking to you as if you're someone else? You're not. We're like in each other, and we're at a disagreement somehow. And maybe not all of us. I'm speaking to those who might be. How can that be? It's what Paul talked about. The scriptures are so powerful to me right now. It's like, wow. When he says, when he talks about uh, blessing the creator and cursing the creation out of the same mouth, it's like, it's terrible because I can see how easy that can happen. And it's all based on, of all things, what does scripture say? He'll use the humble to shame the wise. Okay. I know nothing of the English language, but I'm going to tell you something. I can prove that people can't read when they go through this book, because there's some words that are not the same. They're so polarly opposite. Made and created are not the same thing. What's made? Peace. What's created? Darkness and evil. I almost want to ask people, are you formed or are you created? It's like the created part was just like the beginning. It's, we were created with intention to be more. And that's just the pile that we come from. It's like, what do you say? And you can see how God uses everything. Nothing gets wasted. Nothing at all. Where am I from? I don't know. I kind of really don't have I don't know what to claim. I'm in the U.S., United States. They probably see it and they just don't want to admit it. They're in denial. Well, it's like, how long are we going to suffer in denial? And all of that, there's so much structure hidden in the scriptures. Like, you got to pay attention to names because they define like a backstory. Okay, so let's create a machine that's going to just have stuff come from it. Okay, we're going to call it Egypt. Well, what does Egypt do? It means compression. Okay, and what is the river that comes out of Egypt? Well, it's denial. It's denial. But Nile means two rivers, as in good and evil, two pillars as iron legs of a statue, two unbreakable things. Good is good and evil is evil, except that sometimes evil can be both. And that's the problem with the one leg, right? Good can only be used for good. Evil can be used for both. And that's the problem. What happens when you pop your eyes open? It's like some psychology test, what do you see? And then they take something, like if I had something that was evil, right? I'd go, what do you see? Bam. Oh, wow. That really won't hit the camera, will it? Just doesn't get bright enough. I figured blind it. Nice. That's good, because that means I can't hide. See, I couldn't hide behind a light. Well, that's kind of weird. Optical effect. Anyway, this, what do you see? And if you go, it's evil, don't go into the light. Don't go into the light. Oh, and the sun just came out over here. Pow. That's pretty funny. You know, what do you see? Do you see evil or do you see opportunity? You know, I see a flashlight or something, anything. And that's what it is. The whole idea of naming things is so important. Adam, as far as a son of man, you're a son of man. And whatever your job is to name things, and whatever you call them, that's what they are. I'd caution you of using, you know, names like, you know, idiot, hypocrite, asshole, jerk, prick, mother, farter. Yeah, don't do that. Because as soon as you do it, it almost doesn't matter if they really are. Some of it may be your opinion, but because God wants to give you the desires of your heart, he's not tempting you if you've already named it. And that goes for even, that's why the Lord's Prayer is the way it is. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. What? What do you mean? Why is there a choice? And it's because there is a choice. That choice is yours. And it's not temptation if you've asked for it. And if you ask for evil, guess what? That sin that you think you're having fun doing, the only reason that in God's grace, because grace is salvation, that's what this is going to result in. You stumbling, grace, evil, he gives it to you. Or if he decides, nah, they can't handle it and I better keep them out of it. So if you're enjoying yourself, you're on like the road to destruction. He's going to break you eventually. He'll wear you down, tear you up, wear your ass out, and then you'll just be like the rest of us believers. Okay, you win. And so it works for both people. It just then becomes a path, and everybody gets their shot at it, right? You're from Egypt. No kidding. My bloodline runs into Egypt, according to my DNA. And my last name is not, it's Italian in origin of my family, but chronologically it's out of Africa. It's a type of bush. But, and if you look at my last name, which is part of my channel name, you'll even see Musa in there. So I don't know. I might be related to that guy. Or maybe they named me the name in honor, right? After the bush. So it's good to see you again. Don't be gone too long. Well, no, actually, you know what I did? I realized that the spirit was working against me because, and I part of me was wanting to hide. I kept saying it. I go, I'm going Jonah. I've had enough. I'm sick of trying to help people that don't give a shit, and doctors that, you know, in the random occasion when you can get somebody to respond, okay? Like, you know, the author John Walton, okay? I know his brother Jimmy, okay? He used to have a channel called The Third Choice, and he retired. And I'm like, retired? Who in the hell retires from Christianity? You know, I mean, I don't know. But he had enough and moving away from it or something, or felt he could retire. Nobody retires. And when I came to him trying to say, can you link me up with your brother, who is he's a prolific author and all this stuff, maybe he'll understand what I'm talking about. Maybe he's done more study than you have. And he's like avoiding and blocking me from anything to do with this guy. And I'm like, Jim, you're like my resource, my in to talk to this guy. Can you just give me a few minutes? Oh, he's too busy. And ultimately it culminated in him asking me, he literally said this. He said, why would God give a message to you? And I didn't know if he meant it like in condescending, or he wanted to know if there was some kind of magic potion where I could tell him so he could get the freaking glory. And it's like, I don't want any glory. I'm serving a damn purpose. I'm giving my ass out for free here. And it's worn out. And to have somebody, with the ability to direct traffic where in the direction it should go, to turn around and go, well, who are you to? It's like, why are you even asking that? What kind of a question is that? The freaking planet is on the line here, right? That's the way I look at it. That's the burden that I feel that I'm shouldering, because I can see how bad we have, pardon my French, fucked up when we read this book. And you know what? This thing has been sitting here for I don't know how long. It's got drip lines running down it, so it's probably half evaporated. But you know what? I'll drink to that. Oh my God, my English teacher, she would be rolling right now. And the things that she did to me, wow. We got to watch this movie called The Lottery. Okay. And in the movie, I'll tell you about it. It was a short story and it was made into a movie. But in this movie, supposedly the premise is that the town is undefiled, right? You just got, I don't know. It's like everybody drank some kind of magic Kool-Aid, Hey, how are you, Jim? Woo. It's just like Perfectville, But once a year, they hold a lottery. Yeah. Once a year, they hold a lottery. And guess what? This thing is in order that they can pick at random, supposedly, one person to be stoned. And this is how they have solved that there would be any crime, that once a year they would just get to take out their anger on like a random person. And it was brutal. And so, and I mean, they probably wouldn't show movies like that in high school anymore. I doubt it. It was pretty graphic. Today, they would have to ask your parents if you could get to watch it, I would say. Because it was just like, whoa, man, it was just like shocking, right? And so then, you know what the teacher asked us? She said, well, how does everybody feel about it? Like, what do you think? What would you do something like that? What are your feelings? She kind of wanted some opinions. And I said, well, if only one person had to die, it's like if for the sake of efficiency, it sounds like as close to God as you can possibly get, right? But to me, it would be like, I would elect the person, and then when they pull the thing out of the thing, I'd be like, just kidding, and let them go, right? And go, we can't do it, We will have, in order to, and that's what Jesus was trying to prove. You can't have a law that is a good law when the law that says not to kill requires that type of thing, right? Even the two commandments that he wrote, 2 commandments on the ground when they were going to stone him and the woman. Remember, he had to get his ass out of a jam and the woman, okay? Both. And so he wrote down, he probably, he was Jesus, so he let her go first, right? Well, no, he would have to go first with the to protect himself, because he would have picked the older law, which says whoever strikes a man so that he dies shall be put to death. Well, that kind of puts a little bit of problem on the stoning there, doesn't it? And I just want to point out something, that a lot of this is like they were trying to stop a cancer from spreading, was how they could understand how evil had started from just a single point and worked its way through everything. You can totally see it in the laws that came up. And I'm going to say that now, remember, Moses wrote this law, but for blasphemy, for instance, okay, the story goes that there was an Egyptian woman. She had a Hebrew husband, and her son is out there in the street, gets in a fight with another one of the Hebrew kids, right? And the Egyptians, the Egyptian lady's son blasphemes. So now Moses has to decide what to do with this kid. And it gets very interesting. See, because in purity, I know that good can only be good. If I'm a Hebrew and if I claim to be Israel, it's about purity and it's about 100% good. Always doing what's right and kindness, right? You don't, I'm sorry. Yeah, your wife's freaking knockout and she just like handed me all that shit on a platter. Okay. Yeah, we were going on the magic carpet ride. No, not from this guy. Matter of fact, I'm going to give you the letter that she wrote to me so she can, you can straighten your stuff out. And you want to know what happened? This is a true story. This guy had mistreated her before that. Okay. I'm over there trying to do some kind of business deal with this guy. She shows up. I'm complimenting how beautiful she is and how lucky they are. And she maybe, I didn't realize she was dressed up nice from work. I thought they were going out. And this guy wants to go fishing with some other girl and blows her out and runs her off. Okay. And now this girl's like sending me messages and I'm like, you don't belong to me. That's your man that you've chosen. Okay. I don't care how bad he treated you. I don't agree with it. I'm not friends with him anymore because of it. I gave him the letter. And what happens? It made her admire me more because I was that straight. And so that's what you have. You have straight and narrow. And then on the Egyptian side for that woman, you have what? I don't know. Evil, if you want. Just another something else. And that something else is not God. And that something else is still something. But when it's decided, Moses doesn't even know what to do because now he's got like a mixture in the law. See? And this is going to turn into a good sermon. I hope somebody cuts this out. It's like a mixture has occurred in the law now. That law is supposed to be only for who? Well, Hebrews. Well, what happens when you got somebody that's in the middle? They're part and not, right? So Moses don't even know what to do. So he's like, I got to go consult with the Lord and I'll come back and tell you. So, of course, he goes and attends meetings, does a couple bong rips, and then comes back out and says, we are to take the person who blasphemed outside the camp. And everybody who heard what he said is to place their hands on his head. And a sermon is popping in my head right now. Okay? And then the congregation is to stone the blasphemer. So everybody who heard it has to put their hands on his head. And then the congregation is to stone them. Talk about faith comes by hearing. Holy shit. How many people do you think went, did you hear anything? What? Huh? No, huh? No, I'm hard of hearing. Do you need a hearing test? No, I already have a hairy chest. That kind of thing's going on. Yeah, right. But if you can see what happened with the law there, what actually did you witness? You saw two sides. You saw good and evil interact with each other. And you saw the right hand not letting the left hand know what it was doing. In other words, the left hand are the people that are outside the law. There's no reason to stone this kid. He doesn't know. But if you want to say you heard, then you're condemned already because you know. Oh, fucking Jesus had this shit so wired, man. It's so easy to understand when you hook into it. And it goes in it through everything, all of these scriptures. And we killed that man. We killed him. And I'm next. Only I've been promised that that won't happen. So I got that going for me. It doesn't make me feel any better. I'd almost rather have the attention. At least then I could get my mouth opened up and get, thief in the night is not what it's supposed to be. Thief in the night is this unbreakable law that's going to come up and grab you in the ass. It's going to take you down. You can't mock God. He just mocks you back harder. However you judge, you're judged back. It is I don't know if it's like a trampoline of blessings. You throw a blessing at it and boom, and it just explodes and comes flying back at you and more. But if you don't see it that way and you're unwilling to invest from that level to just knock off all the shit, feed your enemy, pray for your enemy, clothe your enemy. Hey, enough of this shit. You're not my enemy anymore. Oh, yeah. And then guess what? It's over. I don't know what we're expecting of our God to show up and magically change our spirit with no involvement from us. Because if that's the case, we got a big problem, because now our benevolent God now turns into what? It's not time. Because I want to say something about that. Do you remember when Jesus said it was not time for wine? And then suddenly it was, wasn't it? And what happened? The woman stepped in. The woman used evil for good, conspiracy and mystery even. Mary speaking to his disciples, do everything he tells you. I mean, and we don't even see it. Because she disappears then, right? You just saw a fight between Jesus and his mom. Woman, what have I to do with you? Right? It's not time. And she says, what? You never heard it like this before, have you? What have I to do with you? And so what does she say to his disciples? Do whatever he tells you. And she leaves. Now, what do his disciples think? What happened? What's going on? Where's your mom? What's happening? You are my sisters and brother. Sound familiar? Mom storms off with an ass kicking. And these guys are going, what's happening? Well, then I guess it was then time to make wine, right? Or could you say that she just very subtly, you remember these names are important, Mary and Mara, okay? If Jesus was living water, Mary would have been bitter water. That's what Mary means, Mara. It means bitter. It's related to bitter. And everything is founded on the waters, two different kinds of water. But when he sent, when he sends her off, and then she says that to his disciples, do whatever he tells you. And it's kind of like, I don't know, I could take that to so many different levels, because you can even see where the disciples were competitive over being as close to Jesus as far as his best student or whatever as they could be. Even so much as to like to bring their mom into the picture, right? I mean, we're looking at documents that are supposed to be talking about, the God of the universe, and there's things in there that are very personal. Like, no, I mean, like, mom, come and argue for us, right? It's like, that's kind of pathetic, isn't it? And some kind of stuff about, how it goes, but it's just life. So they got to tell it like it is. And I'm saying that there's more into these stories than just that. You know, there are specifically things injected into these stories of that time that would have been appalling and like, what? Like, how come women go to the tomb to be the witnesses? Are you kidding me? At that time, there were no women in courts. It's because they didn't trust women, thanks to their book. You know, women ruin the world. And rabbis would even say that as per their teachings amongst each other. That was where the whole thing comes from, where it says, if you have broken one part of the law, you've broken the whole law. That was never intended to be given to a Gentile, ever, freaking ever. Oh my God, if I could grab a hold of, I don't, well, you couldn't, because it's like it's like the blasphemy thing. It just, somebody heard it and it spread. But that's something that the rabbis would say to each other in regards to how they teach. If you break one part of the law, you've broken the whole law. Jesus was pointing it out because they were destroying the law. You want to know what the second thing he wrote on the ground was? The first thing he wrote on the ground was Exodus 21:12. And I love it because all the things I get to remember, because somehow the numbers all mean things to me. But I'm a numbers guy, so all numbers mean things to me. Even my house number, okay? It's the hidden number that can't be, shown in the Hebrew language. The number of God. um, oh man. Can you see my breath? It's cold in here. I'm kind of getting used to it though. Whew, it's gonna be a tough winter. I can do it. It's good to see you again. You too. I love you, kiddo. How are you? Did you build me a tiny house where you are so I can leave this miserable place and come live with whiskey drinkers and cool people? Sheesh. You got the worst icon in the world, though, I got to say. The Joker thing is just kind of like, oh, God. Why so serious? I actually know people that have the Squealer's smile. I know several. I know a few people, and one of them is actually, she is actually walks around in town here. Somebody like in town has a Squealer smile. It's kind of messed up, but it's like, I don't know. I can't imagine how her mind operates after going through that kind of a trauma. Like she's in a shell of this person, and she doesn't talk. She doesn't interface very well, like to communicate, as far as I can see. And it's sad. It makes me sad, but it's like, yeah, you can look, and she's got like a hack right up the side of her face. So I don't know. Nice world we live in, huh? Something, my friend. May Allah bring you love and joy for your service of Muslim people. Yeah, I'll work for anybody. God bless you too, man. You know what? I'm going to tell you something. I'm not, uh, I don't know, participate, worship, or understand even Islam, right? That's how distant I am from it. But I'll let my ear determine what I hear and what I think of you. And it sounds like you're offering blessings and peace. And I would ask the same to you and to your family. And I would say my prayer to you would be, hmm, that's what I would say. But I would say, may your eyes be filled with pain so that your heart would cause you to be the hero that our God made you to be. Have courage. That's what I would say. And thank you. Magdalene means high tower. Ah, excellent. So, and a lot of these things do mean towers. You can see the relationships that are there, like in the way that there are some times where Jesus refers to Peter as Simon Peter. Simon, though sometimes it can mean with regards to hearing, somebody who can hear. It can also be like Simeon is more like a drunkard. Um, so there's times when he refers to uh, Simon Peter, but then there's times when he refers to him, like for instance, you can see how these names play into this when he says, blessed are you, Simon Bar Jonah. And it's like most people would read that, and I did for decades, thinking, oh, well, his dad's name was Jonah, right? And it's like, no. He's referring to the dove, the spirit, son of the dove, like the same dove that landed on Jesus. Okay? Blessed are you, Simon Bar Jonah, son of the dove. For, what did he say? What is revealed to you? The spirit. So it's, and they hit these things from two sides like this all the time and all the way through it. And that's how and so that's, when you understand what the dove is, it says that the spirit rested upon him, right? The sky opened, the spirit came down and it rested. That is like what John saw was literally like, if you can imagine this, it would be like a command from God, if you could, however it would look, coming down out of heaven, like as to say, do this. and it's coming from the Lord. And you have to understand that the Lord does all things, forms light and creates darkness, makes peace and creates evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. It's Isaiah 45:7. It's difficult, but you have to say, God's going to do what's right, even though he has the power to do this. We think that doing what is right is doing good all the time. No, doing what is right is doing what is good for that time. If, if he has to kill somebody, it's evil to kill, but it's good that he did it when he did it. And the thing is to let him do it, if at all possible. And that's why we are supposed to study war no more. To study war no more is literally going to be, in some respect, to distance ourselves from the scriptures, because it will need to be understood by mankind that these scriptures, I don't want to say they're useless, but they're pointless. They can't help us if you're not going to follow them. They're a tool to help you to understand and have a relationship with God. If you're not going to follow it, then you're a victim of it. It's the very sword that guards the way, to the tree of life or heaven, however you want to call it that. And the more that you fight against it, the less you're going to find it. And that can happen even collectively, as is said, when I'm an unclean man amongst unclean people. He's like, can't believe I can see this. And I understand that 100%. 3. Clock just struck 300 down there. I know why it's louder. I'm stupid. It's really cold in here. Sound carries a lot better when it's colder. It's because the air is compacted. It's dense. So when it pushes here, there's less middle zone to absorb it. Like the push here has to, it's a compacted sediment cushion. Kind of like experiencing a muffled sonic boom, because it's compressed, it's amplified. Sonic boom, it gets to the point where it, just can't move. And so it's like more of an explosion. But and then it's interesting because once you bust the sound barrier, then the dynamics of vacuum and so on don't count anymore. Now you're flowing through liquid. That's when air becomes, yeah. It's amazing. I understand this book at a level where I cannot look at anything and not see how God's hand has somehow shaped it and made it for a purpose. And so it's hard with random, things, maybe I don't know, cell phones or whatever. Why did he make those? That's not where you can see our God moving and doing his work. Where you actually get to see it is if you look at the creative works, like when people write stories or write songs. I can see fingerprints of, like, activity, if you want to call it that, of how God would interact with something, within movies or like songs and things like that. Jimmy Morrison, he did it. That one song, All Along the Watchtower, that's got some biblical undertones, if it ever could. I mean, 2 riders were approaching. Those are your witnesses. Barefoot servants. they're on holy ground. And the winds begin to howl. That's the Spirit kicking up. And who was it? And does he say no reason to get excited? The thief he kindly spoke. Does he say that? I think those are the lyrics, aren't they? No reason to get excited. The thief he kindly spoke. There are many here among us who feel that life is but a joke. Interesting. But yeah, when I start looking at the arts and stuff, you see God all over everything that we want to create. And what's the coolest and best of the things that we want to create? Light. And I started noticing that right around the end of the last time, was that the increase of LED lights. They were just everywhere. Flashlights, lights for your car, lights for your motorcycle, lights, and more lights. And it was like, oh, the irony. If only instead of having lights, we were LED. I thought about that about Abraham. That your offspring will be as the stars of the sky. And it's like the stars are supposed to be the light that guides you during the night. That could be literally telling Abraham that he was going into night, a time of night, right? Because then the stars would be guiding his offspring. They're the rulers of those times. So, and if they become the offspring, and isn't he told that he's going to become a a stranger or a cap or like a something for 400 years or something, right? It all works that way. 400. Anybody got any 212 Bible numbers? You know how Jesus said with the 153 fish? Have you ever looked at all the verses 15:3? Neither have I. Or so let's see. 9, 12. Now remember, don't find this amazing, because what's happened here is man has busted this book into chunks, right? These breaks and numbers were not here. What I'm going to do right now with intention to show you something. And I'm being honest when I said I haven't looked at what I said 15:3 yet. I almost went to 1 looking for 53, which in some cases you could do. Some of these chapters are pretty damn long, but 15. Now 15 is God. That's God's number right there. And 3 is the Trinity. So 15:3. And Abram said, "You have given me no children, so a servant in my household will be my heir." And then Exodus. Exodus 15:3 says, "The Lord is a warrior." The Lord is his name. I didn't realize. Oh, that's that part where it's supposed to say the Lord is a man of war. Oh, yeah. Thank you. That's the NIV. Nice. And I think part of that is because that's a mix up in the Son of Man right there. Okay, so the Lord is a warrior, the Lord is his name. And Leviticus 15:3. Anyone who touches his bed must wash his clothes and bathe with water, and he will be unclean until evening. No, that's not it either. Oh, whether it continues flowing from his body or is blocked, it will make him unclean. This is how his discharge will bring about uncleanness. Well, that's kind of weird. Let's see, Numbers. And you present to the Lord offerings made by fire from the herd or the flock as an aroma pleasing to the Lord, whether burnt offerings or sacrifices for special vows or free will offerings or festival offerings. It's like there was a reason why they busted these things into all these verses like this. Like John 6:66 is like, and from this time his disciples followed him no more, right? That's 6:66. Let's look at Genesis 6:6. And I wonder what would happen if we looked at 1:1, 2:2. 1:1, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. 2:2 says, by the seventh day God had finished his work he had been doing. So on the seventh day he rested from all his work, and God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it he rested from sorry. By the seventh day, God had finished the work he had been doing. So on the seventh day, he rested from all his work. What's 3:3? 3:3 says, but God did say, you must not eat fruit from the tree that is in the middle of the garden, and you must not touch it, or you will die. Okay. 4:4. But Abel brought fat portions from some of the firstborn of his flock. The Lord looked with favor on Abel and his offering. It's pointing out like almost very important parts here, but they are up front in the chapters with all respect. So 5:5. Altogether, Adam lived 930 years and then he died. Now, 930, I would point out, is 70 years short of 1,000. I think that batting 1,000 means a little more than we think. All right, so now we get the flood narrative, and we're on 6:6, which says, "The Lord was grieved that he had made man on the earth, and his heart was filled with pain." Wow. 7:7. "And Noah and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives entered the ark to escape the waters of the flood." 8:8. "Then he sent out a dove to see if the water had receded from the surface of the ground." 9:9. "I now establish my covenant with you and your descendants after you." 10:10. "The first centers of his kingdom were Babylon, Erech, Akkad, Calneh, and Shinar." Oh, 11:11. That's a bad Jewish number. 11:11. And after he became father of Arxphad, Shem, that means name, lived 500 years and had other sons and daughters. Interesting. Now, what does Arxphad mean? Hmm. 12:12. "When the Egyptians see you, they will say, 'This is his wife.' Then they will kill me, but will let you live." 13:13. "Now, when the men of Sodom were wicked and were sinning greatly against the Lord," one of the ones that's good is 6 and 9. Or 9 and 6. Because 9 and 6 was used to represent I saw that, a yod and a hey. The first part of the name. "I was born in a corrupted place." Oh boy. Well, don't give up. Brother, I appreciate you so much. Is there a way I can leave you my private phone number for questions and stuff? I would just appreciate someone like you being there. Yeah, I had my phone set up to take phone calls, but stuff's not making it to me now. Yeah. Uh, yeah, I mean, you could try to find my number and try and call it or leave me a message or something like that. 716-229-1343. But it's God protect. See, that's the way I look at it, and you have to. That's the only mindset that I can have. See, it's it's a hard position to be me. I say that because I know that I'm a prophet. I've had too many experiences. Things happen. I don't. To me, it's not a big deal, but it's a big deal, but it's not a big deal. It's nothing to be like flaunting around, happy about almost, because it is somewhat of a burden, right? There's a responsibility that comes with it, and so it's like, to me, if somebody when people ask me, they go like, "How's it going?" The best I can say is, everything's according to plan, right? Because to have any doubts about God as far as I see it. And there are some maybe extremists as far as God's sovereignty, but I feel like to have doubt in God is to kind of it's a negative way. It's blaspheming. You're in a certain sense with any feelings even in your heart that you can't be protected and so on. So everything that happens, you have to kind of look at it, so yeah. No, it is. We are in a storm, and the whole thing is because we don't understand the scriptures. See, the scriptures were written specifically. I'm sure every word that was penned was very meticulously thought of and placed. And we should, in a certain, for any of many reasons, it's very odd that it hasn't changed in thousands of years. They're still intact, right? So they're preserved for all this time. And the way that I see them is it's like having the mind of God in a book, and you can't even if it says something in here, don't try and fight that. What's written in here is as good as a God out there able to enforce it. He just might not enforce it in the way that you think, and that's where we err. Okay, like some people have problems with maybe same-sex marriages or something like that, right? And they feel they got to go out and do something about it. The best thing to do is, if you see something that's you feel is wrong, and especially in the eyes of God, then get the hell away from it. Get away from it. Don't let it draw you in. Because, in that case, those are trees that don't have any water. They're not going to produce any fruit. They will wither away in their own time, and you don't have to worry about it. You can even feed them and take care of them. Let them be your friends. And what you do, you'll be feeding the final pieces of the seed and friendship, sly as a wolf, to just make it go away. I was your friend all the way until you were gone, and I didn't even have to deal with any of your problems. And now you and everything that was you doesn't exist anymore. But we don't see it like that. We want to hurry up and rush, force the hand of God, instead of trying to see if within the scriptures there's something to deal with the problem. Even the pandemic didn't have to happen. It was very simply solved with this book, okay? Easily. And I had the answer before it got out of control. I'm not talking a hindsight thing. I've been screaming like this for 6 years, how important it is we understand this book, because this is the sword that is killing us, all right? It's ruining us. I see the subject homosexuality, and I think none of us need to bother them or reject them. But making laws, why not just grow a heart? Yeah, I mean, it's sad because, okay, we need to remember that they have their secret place, right? They have their marriage bedroom, if you will. And so when it says not to defile the marriage bedroom, that means that you have to separate those relationships right there. I can't bring their bedroom into the topic of discussion. That's wrong. Because then they would have to bring me in and go, well, how do you do it? Is doggy style okay? It's like... And so because we bring their bedroom into it, now we've got stuff we can fight with, because we're breaking and bending the laws of God so that we can find ways to, you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't do that, right? I don't care if there are people that are in homosexual relationships that don't have sex. They're just men that just figure, I've had enough shit with women. You happen to do you wear size 10 shoes? Bam, we're on, buddy. We're friends. Oh, you know what? Health insurance is going to be a bitch. We'll get in with this, and now we're married and we can take advantage of taxes and all these marriage things like other people do that are supposed to be in a union covenant where they actually keep their promises and stick together. Okay. And just because they found it in a male to male relationship, that's their thing. Okay. Leave them alone. It's like they are literally irreverence being justified because they express better love than we do. And that's exactly what Jesus was screaming about, you know, that uh, it's bad, man. I want to survive the storm and be useful to God. Well, that's what I'm trying to do. And my thing is to show where this book is. We don't understand this book. It's very cleverly written. When he says things like, I know the beginning from the end, that's because the end is the beginning, but of the next time. We go through cycles of time. They use the number 7 as a basis for how time works. Sometimes there's a divided time. So it could be day, could be night, just depends. But when you start talking about things in scripture that say things like, for a time, a time's time, and a divided time, or a half a time, how in the hell does a divided time turn into, you know, because they're thinking years, but it doesn't work that way. A time will last for as long as it needs to for everything to be fulfilled. I mean, ultimately, he will sum it up, and that probably happens like on the thousands, like every 1,000 years. So we can expect something really good to probably pop up in 2030. And I think that's going to be I think Apophis is going to do something to us in 2029. That's my gut. It's going to shake us up, I think. Shake the earth with the stone, but the stone is supposed to strike the earth, right? And that's the weird thing about prophecies. They can only run for so long, and then they have to be fulfilled. And you know, if it's time for some of these things to be fulfilled, it could be an asteroid strikes the earth, or it could be that this strikes the earth, this rock, right? It could be the rock whose church I paid to build. That's about 3 blocks that way. Like as the crow flies, land right in his yard. Yeah, if that rock, his name is Simon Peter, if he'll strike the earth, and he should have, then I don't know. I guess I could have been heard when I was trying to tell him how to stop a pandemic. But actually, see, that makes him the rock that struck the earth. And then it filled the earth. So he's literally, his effect was bringing Prince of the Air crown, you know, the version number 19, that thing. He has that on his shoulders. And you can say, well, that's a stretch. And it's like, no, because I went to him and then later found out that he actually knows the prime minister of Israel. So he would have been a contact for me to basically talk to somebody who should know the Torah and their book and go, hey, can I reason with you using the scriptures on what maybe the world should do here in regards to this thing and why, just so we can have some peace about it. All right. We watched the angel of death, the thief of night, come through, and we were just like oblivious, you know, stupid. We totally went about it in the wrong way. I don't know. I'm just I got as much science in me as I have Bible, right? I'm not just I don't disconnect my brain and put it in a box and, come up with all this crazy stuff. There's parts of Bible that I feel could be describing a system or a generation, a process even. It's just demonstrated or spoken of in a certain way so that we can kind of relate to it, you know. Uh, and everything's canned into a certain number of days, right? So it's day and then a day and then a day. There happens to be 7 seals, and ultimately the goal is to receive that document that's written on both sides. And any document in Judah or any like the Hebrew culture back then written on both sides, that's a marriage contract. So that little scroll that's being handed to the lamb, that's just a marriage contract, and that's that lamb that's before the throne could be you, because it says like a lamb, and when he appears you will be like him. If that's happening in heaven and that's where you're appearing to be like him, I think that might be possibly the only place that you're ever going to get to see him, and we should just do the best we can to be ready so he's not pissed off when he comes back, maybe. Oh, that's what I believe. Humans make no support towards what's right. Well, yeah, they hide. It's like you hide from the idea behind excuses. Satan's chasing me around. I can't get to heaven because of my works. So what does that mean? So why try? It's like if God could wave a magic wand like that to just change everybody's minds and zap us into being good, wouldn't it be kind of cruel to have all these tragedies going over and for thousands of years without him just waving his magic wand? And it doesn't work that way. The Jews understand that, but Christians have been convinced themselves that it's okay to murder somebody for your offenses. We were not supposed to kill him. I don't care what anybody says. He fulfilled the law, but we could have said, no, we're not going to let you fulfill it, right? We're not going to let you fulfill the law by breaking your law and killing yourself. But his fulfilling of the law was just not to strike back. That's what it was totally just of I will not strike back, because the sense would be like this. Remember how Moses struck the rock and they couldn't get into the kingdom? If Jesus is the word, he represents the law itself. So that kind of makes him responsible for everything that has happened, right? So he has to pay that price. It's his creation. He has to pay that price. I didn't want to be here. I would rather not be here for this 60 years so that he can then throw me in hell. And don't give me the old, oh, you can't tell what the potter to do. I'm sorry then. This 60 years that I've lived right here is not worth any gamble ticket to happen to get into eternity. It just ain't worth it. Because not if there's 2 zones to go to. I just don't want it. So then how is it right for that to be thrust upon me? And it's not. It's not fair. Does that mean that we serve an unjust God? No. It's saying that we misunderstand our book. Oh, it's bad, man. It's bad. It's like at the very basic level, this is his. And if he's sovereign over it and he's running it, then either I hate to go on, the philosophy guys would say, well, if he's a good God, then he's not all powerful. And if he's not good, then he's all powerful, but not, and they come up with that thing, right? I don't get in that pissing match because I understand what evil is for. I don't separate good and evil. That's not my job. That's what the Lord does. I form light, I create darkness. I make peace, I create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. What's created? Darkness and evil. We're told not to create anything. Better leave that to him. Well, what we missed is Jesus' teachings. We missed what Jesus was teaching because the Son of Man is you. You are the Son of Man. But he tried to hint us to understand what that means. That's just referring to your spirit in a vanilla mode, even dead, inanimate, not ready, just like an egg or a seed. But then that Son of Man has to pick his father, which he's going to serve. You're going to serve Father God, or you're going to serve the father of lies. And then what happens is, depending on which one you serve, is going to then produce the fruit of said father. And then comes the phrase, when you've seen the Son, you've seen the Father. Most people think that because they saw Jesus, they saw the Father. Well, if they saw God, then good. But there's only two fathers that can be served. So which father do they see when they see you? Who's your daddy? I come in the name of the Lord. Problem is people don't see me and say, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. No, I'm a persecuted piece of crap. I'll even ask you the same thing. Whose name do you come in? Please don't say your own. You've made a big mistake then, if you do. And it isn't like it's something, well, who are you to say you come in the name of the Lord? It's a choice. If I'm getting it wrong, I stand here, strike me down, knock me dead right now, take this breath from me. Please get me out of here. I'll go, right? It's like, I claim it. You want to argue with me? Break out your book. You break out your sword and I'll break out mine. We'll see who's standing with less wounds at the end of it. I'm going to come at you from three chords every single time. Every single time. Three pieces every single time. It's what Jesus complained about when these people use this book against each other. He said, you don't lift your finger. That, you know, that little thing that they read the scriptures with? Mine has 5 fingers. It's like a claw. Okay? And he said, you don't lift your finger to ease the burden. In other words, to say, oh, this part of the law says this, but you kind of fit in over here too. And let them go. And you want to know where the easy part of that law was? Whoever strikes another man so that they die shall be put to death. Jesus knew that. And he was sick of it, as I am. I'm sick of fighting over religion. I'm sick of people blowing up the other side of my planet. I'm sick of my tax dollars unable to help my country and my people and do useful things instead of be used for fireworks. So that the populace can think that something's actually being done. I'm tired of it. I won't do it anymore. And I got to pee. I'll be back.
Something have no fear. Something never miss. They do their job. I do this. I know what it's for. I don't wanna be no more. I can't wait to life I want. I'm an idiot. Alright, so far.
Thank you for holding while I was holding. Please don't leave here. I like this song. We, the good ones, were left alone here at the end. So I want good people to go on. Yeah, but see, nobody's supposed to go anywhere. It's just a teaching to make people understand that as crazy as it might seem, we are all brothers and we're not supposed to be fighting. There's two kind of kingdoms that will exist. One is brother against brother, hand against hand. And then the other one is laughter. You know, we key in too much on the flesh and blood and family genealogies part of it, and that makes us not understand God, right? The whole place, the whole human race is the body of God. Some parts of it are obedient, some don't listen, right? I mean, it's hard to see it functioning like that, you know, to envision it, but that's what it is. It's like, it's written in scripture that in him we move and live and have our being, but really it's the other way around as well. In us, he moves and lives and has his being. I'll stress, hopefully. And so that's our purpose. Is our purpose is to provide a place for our God to have a place to live and to give him a, you know, it's a place to dwell, a place not made of human hands, right? Um, I don't know what to say. I'm distraught or something. Hmm. Let me see if I can find some prideful stumbling blocks here. Well, let me ask you something. Do you understand do you understand? Let's see, what is I don't want to throw too much. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out how to throw just the right brick in the middle and then we'll build on it. And that's what it is, the middle ground. That's what there's a lot of places in Scripture that describe the middle zone where you're not judging people. Jesus said it, right? I don't judge you, but my Father judges you. But actually, the angel of the Lord says it as well. He says, I'm not for you or your enemies. So that just means I'm just an intermediary here, right? And that's the ground that I pick, because I believe that if my God is sovereign and he needs to judge somebody and he needs to take care of you, then I'll pray for you and I hope he has mercy on you. But I rest my case is to say he's going to take care of you just as so. And so much of the things that are spoken of to try and control people, they fade away on their own, but you have to persevere through that struggle where it's, going on. And as I said, it's hard. It's difficult for me because understanding it at that level, prophecy changes the what prophecy is. Sorry, let me. Oh, that's better. Prophecy changes. You start to realize that phrasing that's used in Scripture, like where it says you're led from afar, well, then who leads when you're near? If you're led from afar, well, that's God leading you through the word. If you're led near, then that's like your choices and stuff. I don't know where to start. It's like, for instance, when I talk about prophecy, and I've spoke on this 1,000 times already. Okay, probably 150. But like the story of Jonah kind of appears to be somewhat of a false prophet, because he says 40 days, Nineveh will be overturned. So now we got the problem. Was Nineveh overturned? And see, and there are people that would say, no, they weren't overturned. And then out of the same mouth falls their own condemning words, because they repented. And it's like, that's what repented means. All Jonah was doing was showing up there, scaring the shit out of them, telling them, in 40 days, you're going to repent. And they did. And so it's like, what is the purpose of that story? And there's so many parallels and mirrors that show up in that story, okay? You got one big fish in the sea that Jonah gets to ride in for 3 days, right? On the land, you have Nineveh, which Nineveh means house of fish. Okay, their god was Dagon, which means fish god. But he went to the house of fish. And it specifically says right in the scriptures, it takes 3 days to cross that fish. And so it's like, can you see the pattern here? Jonah was sleeping in a boat. Jesus was sleeping in a boat. Jonah gets thrown into the sea to calm it down. Jesus walks on the sea, but gets into the boat to calm it down. The tree that gave him comfort is actually the knowledge of good and evil. And the worm that destroyed the tree is the Son of Man. And so that's where you and I, all of us, any human being alive, you are Son of Man. What the thing is whatever it is, whatever actions you do, even if you are unaware of it as to being attributed to any specific god or deity, still defines which deity you belong to, because the son always does what he sees his father doing. The problem is if you don't know any of this, then you are as an orphan. It's like you're a child that doesn't know your spiritual father. If let's say you don't know about, you don't understand the Messiah, but you have some form of religion, You don't understand that. Well, then you're like the bride. You're like the woman who doesn't have a husband. So you're missing both, father and son. The heat just came on. Hold on. I see the curtains blowing. Woo. Wow. Last piece of pizza that I made. Well, I'm not going to. I know that what you're saying appears to be complimenting me because you say it's true. I'm just going to say I can't take credit. Okay. I'm just explaining what's in here. All right. But yeah. And once you can see it, you'll realize that it's like, uh, hmm. And that's just, I mean, you are that one of those trees. You are like the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And I would only say that because how can a tree bear different kinds of fruit? It's a very strange tree, right? However, from us as being trees like Nebuchadnezzar, same exact thing. We can't bear different kinds of fruit, unfortunately. Unfortunately. Everybody's lost, my friend. The whole place. My anger and my the frustration that you see with me is not because I'm mad at people. I have no right to be mad at anybody. I'm just standing here waving my arms like as if I'm on fires to say, to admittedly say, hey, I'm an idiot. Let me show you what I happen to find. It's like, and it's affecting all of us. And you just can't find a way to show people because belief is a difficult thing. Whatever you believe creates the universe that you live in. And I don't mean, you're not creating the sun and stars and water. I'm just saying that your environment is based on your beliefs. So if the video is getting bad, it's time. They're starting to hammer my internet connection. That's just how it goes. I'm sorry. They break apart my connection because they don't want me to say what I say. They don't want me to echo the voice of our Messiah, saying the same thing. very complex subjects we're trying to navigate. Well, I'm not as much a navigator as I am like somebody who has survived uh, a horrendous beating my entire life. Some of it at the hands of others. And I never really got very determined to where I felt, you know, that I was peaceful with the way I understood what was going on. You know, it was like, something's wrong here. I'm just going to leave it at that. Maybe not try to get too involved, right? And then you find out that you don't have a choice but to be involved because we're the key part of the machine that turns spirit into manifested love, I guess, right? And if we don't do it, it don't exist. I admittedly wanted to. What? They wish you were an idiot. Because in the meantime, God thinks. You are one of his workers. No, God knows I'm one of his workers. I can't quit. That's the thing is I understand this at such a level. I can't give up. Even if I'm wrong, I won't be able to let go because I just don't feel I'm wrong. It's what I believe. So it's like a fire I can't put out. You know, it's got corruption, and with it satisfaction. With its satisfaction breaks down. Yeah, being corrupt is useless. It's like you have to hide in your life, right? You can't say, "Hey, look what I did," you know? You can't go out and go, "Wow, look at this bank I robbed," you know, and everybody's commending you for it, right? uh, I admittedly want to say genius. Well, the genius part I'll accept at a small level only because that's what the military said. You know, the genius part, the military said that my IQ is like out of, you know, crazy high, but it doesn't really feel like it's been of much use to me all these years, just saying. I feel better talking to you. So you call him the true father. Yeah. God is in. No, I'll tell you what. I'm going to limit this video here. I'm going to jump off after this, but I'll tell you a joke. So, all these people are in church. And they're hanging out and having a good time. You know, they're doing their worship services, and all of a sudden, the doors get kicked in at the back of the church. Okay. Video's getting chopped up and busted up, right? Here, let me try this. So he busts in at the back of the church. All right. Satan does. And everybody like starts scattering. They're all running. And they're like jumping out the windows and running out the back of the church, and they won't go near this guy, right? And there's this one guy just sitting in the pew, and he's like minding his own business, and he says to him, he goes, Satan walks up to him while he's sitting there. He goes, "Aren't you afraid of me? You ought to run too." And he says, "I ain't afraid of you. Why should I be afraid of you?" And the devil says, Why not? Are you afraid of me? And he says, because I've been married to your sister for 20 years. Anyway, so there you go. Hopefully they weren't able to blow up my connection too bad, but I see what happens. It gets all choppy, and YouTube can't do anything about it because they don't, police their own network apparently. Though they could. Well, it's funny because it's like you can just imagine, But anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. Yeah, I need to make some food. But I love you guys. Shalom, shalom. Again, if you know any theologians or pastors and you would like to direct them to me so I can explain what I have figured out, been revealed to me, I like to call it revelation because I believe it's through the Spirit that you understand these things. And I can actually prove that as well. But I have resolved the gap theory in Genesis, between Genesis 1 and Genesis 2. And I also have the theodicy. And I'm not talking about that, whatever this mess was that Swedenborg came up with calculus and monads and all this crazy stuff. No, I can explain to you exactly what evil is for and why it's a good thing. And why it's a good thing that the Lord created it. Because if he didn't, we wouldn't be able to have mercy, because mercy is partiality. Welcome to the complicated world of grace. Welcome to the complicated world of grace. 716-229-1343. 716-229-1343. Shalom, shalom. 1343. As in, I will love you, or I can love you. Shalom, shalom. Okay.